Hello, awesome fourth grade readers. For today's reading lesson, I want you to start by activating your thinking and thinking back to your reading lesson from last week where we wrote claims about whether a tomato was a fruit or a tomato was a vegetable. I want you to think back and remember what your claim was. Go ahead and pause the video and think back to that. There was two claims that I was seeing on Seesaw. I was seeing people writing the claim, tomatoes are a fruit or tomatoes are a vegetable. So I want you to think about a different claim today. I want you to think about sushi. What claim would you write about sushi? Think about a claim that you could write. Remember that a claim means you can go back and look at your reader's notebook page and see what you wrote about a claim. But remember that a claim is a strong statement that you can support with reasons and evidence. What claim would you write about sushi? Thumbs up when you got it. If I was to write a claim about sushi, I would write that I love sushi. And I could give you lots of reasons, like about it being nutritious, about how it's delicious, about how it's a fun place. My family and I like to go and eat sushi together, and that's another reason I love it. I could give you lots of reasons to support that claim. And whenever you're telling me your claim, whether your claim is I love sushi or I don't like sushi very much, your claim is your point of view about sushi. And that's what we're going to be thinking about today. We are going to be thinking about point of view, and we are going to be reading a book called They All Saw a Cat. And while we read that book, we are going to be thinking about the different points of view that we are seeing in that book. So to get ourselves ready for that, remember that awesome readers, which all of you are, prepare for reading by setting up your reader's notebook page ahead of time so that whenever we start reading together, we are all nice and ready to go. So for this, you are going to need your reader's notebook and something to write with. So if you have that now, awesome, you can keep watching, and if you need to go and grab that, you can pause the video and go make sure that you have what you need. So as you find your reader's notebook, we are going to go to the next page that looks like the page that we made. Here's my page about tomatoes. We're going to go past that to the next page we have that looks exactly like that tomato page. And at the top, remember what we are writing. And if you look back at our slides for today, you will see that our goal is to think about point of view and be able to say what the point of view of a story is. So we are going to be thinking about point of view, and you are going to want to label your page point of view. And do whatever you would like to show that this is the title of your page. And after you've written that at the top of your page, I want you to think about how you would give a definition for point of view. What does point of view mean? Remember that if you were telling me, if your claim was I love sushi or your claim was I don't like sushi very much, those are both different points of view. So how would you explain point of view? You can go ahead and write your definition. Maybe you're going to sketch note next to it here. I'm going to write my own definition for point of view, and I want you to do the same. If you aren't quite sure, you can come back to this at the end and put it in your own words after we do a little bit more with point of view in our reading today. So I'm going to say that point of view is the view from which a story is told So I said it's the view from which a story is told, and that's kind of specific to reading. But if you think about it, even when you're saying, I love sushi or I don't like sushi very much, you are telling the view from which a story is told. That is from your point of view. You are answering that question. You are telling the story about why you love sushi or why you don't like sushi very much. You are telling that from your point of view. So that is the point of view that you are telling that story from. So as we read, we are going to come back to our question of thinking about being able to determine the point of view, being able to say, this is the point of view of a story as you are reading. And we are going to do that with the book, They All Saw a Cat. So after you have point of view written at the top of your page and you have a definition for point of view right here, maybe you've written an example of your point of view, you might write, your point of view on sushi, or maybe you're going to write your claim about tomatoes and you're going to say that that is your point of view. That might help you remember what point of view means. I'm going to share the screen with you. And as we read, again, you don't have to write. I want you to just watch the book. And as you do that, I want you to think about what the point of view that we are seeing in the book is. You don't have to write anything on your page while we read. I just want you to think about that big question for today and think about how you can achieve our goal of the day of being able to explain the point of view of a story. So this is a book called They All Saw a Cat, and it is by Brendan Wenzel. Just a second for it to load. I am reading this book on Sora. So if you want to go and read this book later, you can find it on Sora. There it is again. They all saw a cat. The cat walked through the world, and its whiskers, ears, with its whiskers, ears, and paws. So far, do we know the point of view of the story? Do we know the view that from which a story is told? Do you know that yet, or are you not sure yet? I'm not sure yet from this first page. I'm not sure. I'm seeing the cat, but I'm not sure who's telling me this story yet. And the child saw a cat, and the dog saw a cat, and the fox saw a cat. Yes, they all saw the cat. So I want you to take a second and study this page. What do you notice about this page? What do you wonder about the page? I'm noticing that the cat is looking different in each picture. And I'm seeing that the child saw a cat. And I'm noticing that whenever it says the child saw the cat, I'm noticing that the cat is looking pretty cute. I really want to pet that cat. Then I'm seeing that the dog saw a cat and the cat's looking a little bit different. And then the fox is seeing a cat and it looks different again. So I'm wondering, whose point of view is this story being told from? Let's see if the next page answers our question. The cat walked through the world with its whiskers, ears, and paws. And the fish saw a cat. And the mouse saw a cat. And the bee saw a cat. Yes, they all saw the cat. The cat walked through the world with its whiskers, ears, and paws. So I'm looking at this page and I'm thinking back to the last page too, and I'm seeing that this is how a fish would see a cat. And I'm thinking, if a fish were looking at a cat at the fish out of its fishbowl, that's probably what it would look like. And if a mouse were looking at a cat, it probably would look like a big scary monster like that. And that's making me think that maybe there just isn't one point of view that we are seeing with the cat. So whose point of view are we seeing of the cat? We're seeing lots of different points of view, right? We've seen so many. We've seen a child's point of view on the cat, the dog's point of view, the fox's point of view, the fish, the mouse, and the bee. And the bird saw the cat, and the flea saw a cat, and the snake saw a cat, and the skunk saw a cat, and the worm saw a cat. Seeing all these different ways that the cat is being seen, all the different points of view that you can see a cat from. It's a skunk's point of view on what a cat would look like. Here's a worm's point of view on what a cat would look like. And the bat saw a cat. Yes, they all saw the cat. Yes, they all saw the cat. It's a pretty cool way of thinking about how a bat would see the cat. And now it tells us all of these things. It says a child and a dog and a fox and a fish and a mouse and a bee and a bird and a flea and a snake and a skunk and a worm and a bat. The cat knew them all, and they all knew the cat. And the cat walked through the world with its whiskers, ears, and paws. Then it came to the water. So I'm thinking, if I were to answer our question about whose point of view is this book told from? Whose point of view are we seeing in this book? It's all of these animals on this page. We're seeing all of their point of view on what the cat would look like. And imagine what it saw. So whose perspective is on this last page? Whose point of view are we seeing on this last page? Whose point of view is this? I was thinking that this would be the cat's point of view on what it looks like if it were to look at itself in the reflection of the water. So from reading that book, we read one book and we saw all different points of view on what a cat looks like to different animals. So the view, if we look back to what we were saying a point of view means, the view from which a story is told, there's lots of views that story is told. We're able to see the cat through the eyes of so many different animals. And that makes me think about what animals would look like through the eyes of other animals. So what your job today is going to be for Seesaw is going to be to finish out your page, your point of view page. And you're going to do this by, in the middle here, you are going to choose any animal that you want. Probably don't pick a cat because we just saw different points of view of a cat, but pick any animal other than a cat. And I am going to pick a frog. So I'm going to put points of view on or let's say of a frog. So go ahead and write that in the middle of your page, points of view of a, and then write whatever animal that you would like there. And then I want you to go ahead, after you have that done, you can pause the video if you need some time to think and decide which animal you are going to do. You are going to use these 4 boxes to draw 4 different points of view of your animal, just like in They All Saw a Cat. We can look back at that book. We saw lots of different points of view of the cat. Here's what the cat would look like to a bat. Here's what it would look like to a worm and a skunk and a snake and a flea and a bird and a bee and a mouse and a fish and a fox and a dog and a little boy. So think about 4 points of view that you would like to think about your animal from and how it would look. So the first one I'm going to think about is I'm going to think about my point of view. And I'm going to draw a picture of what my point of view would look like. So do this with your animal, write what you think your animal looks like. What is your point of view on your animal? How do you see it? So when I draw my frog from my point of view, I'm going to draw it pretty cute because I really like frogs. And I think that they kind of look like this when I'm thinking about my point of view on them. And sometimes I see them like sitting on a lily pad in water. So I'm going to draw a lily pad in the water. And that's my point of view. I'm going to put some hearts next to it because I really love frogs. So when I see them, sometimes I kind of see some hearts next to them. Then I'm going to think about some other points of view that I would like to see a frog from. I'm thinking about maybe another animal that would eat a frog. And I'm thinking about a snake because snakes sometimes eat frog. So I'm going to label this snake's point of view. Then I'm going to think of 2 other perspectives, 2 other points of view to draw the frog from. So if I were going to finish out this snake's point of view of the frog, I'd probably draw him looking pretty tasty because snakes like to eat frogs, so he'd probably see it as a meal. So you're going to finish this out, and then you are going to take a picture and turn this in on Seesaw. That is your first job for today. But your other job for today is to remember that whenever we learn something new about reading, whenever we learn a new strategy, we think about this with our own reading too, not just the book that we do together. So today, as you read, I want you to think about what point of view is your book being written from, and how would it be the same or different if it was written from another point of view? So I want you to think about that, and you are going to turn this in on Seesaw and answer that question on Seesaw also. Great job, readers.